Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, what's my brethren in Brooklyn, New York? What's up? Speaking of Brooklyn, I wanted to talk about a fight that recently took place in Brooklyn that I didn't get a chance to talk about when it actually happened, but I watched it just like literally maybe an hour ago. Really fun fight. Really fun fight. Really enjoyed it. Because sometimes you can go back and you can rewatch these fights, and then you'll say, "Damn, well, I didn't miss anything." But in this fight, I thought there was really good action, and I really enjoyed it. Um, and it was a good fight for the middleweight division. So the fight I'm talking about, as you guys can see by the title, is Daniel Jacobs versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. This took place at Madison Square Garden in New York City, and just overall good fight. The result of it was Jacobs ultimately getting a split decision victory over Derevyanchenko. But I mean, to me, I remember when this fight got announced, and I made my couple of videos about it when it first got announced. It was an interesting fight for a couple of reasons, and both reasons involved Triple G, because obviously from the Jacobs side of things, Derevyanchenko is easily by far the best fighter he has fought since he lost Triple G, because this was his third fight since losing Gennady Golovkin. He had fought Luis Arias Suleiki. He fought him earlier this year, and then now he's fighting Derevyanchenko. So Derevyanchenko, undefeated middleweight, a guy that has developed a reputation in the middleweight division, as pretty much the guy. A lot of people look at him as the guy that Gennady Golovkin ducked, because this guy was Gennady Golovkin's mandatory, and he ducked him, he didn't fight him so he could go fight Canelo. And some people use it against Golovkin to say, oh, well, he ducked Derevyanchenko. And, Derevyanchenko's I think Derevyanchenko's a good fighter. I think he's a fantastic fighter. And if you go look at his resume, the only two names that that you really know besides Daniel Jacobs coming into this fight were his last two fights against Torreno Johnson, a guy that was in the top 20 mix of the middleweight rankings a couple years ago, but never really ascended up the rankings that he should have. He had him, and then he had Deshaun Johnson, who was who has been a tough journeyman. Fought the likes of Peter Quillen. A lot of people thought he beat Peter Quillen, but he didn't get a decision. He fought Jesse Hart in a really fun fight a couple years ago. Knocked him down. Damn near got him out of there and took his O. And he's been around the block. So tough guy, never an easy guy to look good against. And Derevyanchenko, didn't just beat Deshaun Johnson, but he stopped him, which not a lot of guys do. So with that being said, man, oh, and Sam Solomon. You guys may remember Sam Solomon. He was the guy that he fought Dominic Wade a couple years ago. Tough, experienced journeyman. Fought Dominic Wade to a split decision. Beat Felix Sturm. And he's a good little crafty fighter himself. So he has beaten like the tough, journeyman fringe contender level, but he had never stepped up to the, world level. So this is his first step up fight against Daniel Jacobs, which is a tough step up because, Jacobs is a very, very good fighter, very good fighter. A guy that the best way to describe Daniel Jacobs is two words to describe him is crafty and creative. He's crafty and creative. And I think he showed it in this fight with Derevyanchenko. And I'm gonna take you guys to my overall assessments because I took some notes down while I was watching it. So yeah, here's what I had to say. So these two guys, much like the fight I just got done talking about with Alex Salcedo and Maurice Hooker, these two guys had a lot of familiarity with each other because they used to spar a lot. They've sparred actually over 300 rounds with each other. Derevyanchenko, has based himself out in Brooklyn, I believe, and I know he worked with Andre Rozier for a long time. So, and they sparred over 300 rounds, and they knew each other. So when you know someone that intimately in the ring, it always makes for interesting action when you do fight them under the lights for real with everybody watching. So with that being said, I'll take you guys through a couple of the key rounds and just things I noticed through the rounds. Early in round one, Jacobs, I thought, he showed really good quickness as he always does. Derevyanchenko was putting a lot of pressure on him coming forward, trying to push the pace. Jacobs was moving backwards, throwing a lot of jabs, the occasional counters. And, there was one instance in the first round where I remember Derevyanchenko kind of crowded Jacobs and they tied him up. And then I remember when they kind of pulled away, he hit Daniel Jacobs on the break, like hit him on the break. And, that's one thing that, speaking as someone who didn't even, I never was an amateur. I never fought pro or anything like that. But, for my days of sparring, when you're sparring someone, even when you're sparring someone, if you're there with your coach and whoever you're sparring ties you up, and when your coach says break, if they hit you on the break when your coach says break, it can really piss you off as a fighter. And I'm sure it pissed Daniel Jacobs off, because not too long after that, once he got this guy on the ropes later on in that round, maybe like 30 seconds later, he clipped him with a right hand on the ear, and he scored a knockdown in round one. And I thought he set a good tone early on in that round one that, hey, look, I'm crafty, I'm creative, I got speed, but look, if you think it's sweet coming on the inside, you got another thing coming, and that's what you want to do with a fighter like Derevyanchenko. If you're Daniel Jacobs, you got to establish that power early on, so he makes you respect this. You make him respect your power, and it increases the chances of him becoming a more limited fighter throughout as the fight goes on. So that's that. So the 10-8 round there for Jacobs in round one. Moving on to the next round, Sergey landed a series of just flush punches, like a left hook, straight right, kind of knocked Jacobs off balance, and he had the best moment of that round. And I thought he bounced back really well from the knockdown, so I gave him round two. As we moved on into the latter, like the third and the fourth rounds, one thing Daniel Jacobs started to do was, he would constantly switch to southpaw, and he wouldn't necessarily always throw punches from the southpaw stance, but he'd switch to southpaw to show Sergey Derevyanchenko a new look, and kind of offset any movement and just show him a new angle. And I noticed as he was doing that, there'd be a couple of times where Derevyanchenko would crowd him on the inside, right? So when he would crowd him on the inside, he would throw these, whether it be a straight jab or a hook, whatever. Whatever Derevyanchenko threw, Jacobs would literally roll the shots, and then after he'd roll the shots, he'd pivot off the shots he rolled, and he would just rip to the body. And they were not just regular body shots; they were body shots of bad intentions. He's from Brooklyn. Brooklyn's a very mean place. These body shots came from a mean place, an angry place, and a lot of them were landing. And just the way he was able to dip, roll the shots, and then kind of just throw the hooks to the body all in one motion. I was really impressed with that on the inside from Jacobs. Just really tight punches on the inside, which I think is a lost art in boxing. Inside fighting is a lost art, and the ability to throw very tight, short, crisp punches on the inside is a lost art. So when you do see it, you gotta appreciate it. And there's only a couple of fighters that in boxing these days that can really fight that good on the inside. And Jacobs, that round showed some good inside boxing ability. In round five, Sergey Derevyanchenko began focusing more on the body, and I believe, in my opinion, that this is probably his best round of the fight, because he was lighting up Daniel Jacobs from mid range. Jacobs fought a lot of this fight on his back foot. So when he had Daniel Jacobs retreating or fighting off the back foot, in this round right here, he would just he would feint, because although he is, I believe he's Russian or Ukrainian, he's an Eastern European fighter. He's not necessarily as stiff as most Eastern European fighters. He's a little more fluid with his shoulder movements. His foot speed is a little quicker. So he would show Daniel Jacobs these feints, right? Daniel Jacobs would bite on them sometimes, and then occasionally, and in this round a lot, he would step in really hard with a jab and then come with a right, and he was just, and from mid range, not long range or short range, but mid range, he was landing almost everything he threw in this round mid range of Daniel Jacobs. And I was saying to myself, man, Derevyanchenko was getting in this dude's ass in round five, and just overall, I was really impressed with that. So Jacobs was getting severely tested in this fight against a very confident, game, dangerous fighter, right? So round six, in round six there was fantastic exchanges. Jacobs as Sergey was opening up, Jacobs was opening up, throwing lots of combinations. We saw hooks. Guys would hook off of each other's hooks, and Jacobs was still getting. I thought Sergey in this round was still getting the better of the exchanges, but Jacobs was able to weather the storm. He'd be on the ropes. He'd be rolling the shots. Some of them were landing. Some of them were hitting his glove. Some of them were, he was rolling perfectly. But he weathered the storm, which I think was very important for him. He had to weather the storm against Derevyanchenko in this round if he wanted to have any success moving forward. And it was in this round where you began to see Sergey Derevyanchenko start breathing hard. He was huffing and puffing. And, in this round right here, he really you can kind of see that not only was his work rate that he was showing through these first 6 rounds beginning to affect it, but also some of the body shots that Daniel Jacobs was laying on him was beginning to affect him. And I think this is where Daniel Jacobs was going to begin to separate from Derevyanchenko, right? So just from this point forward, the majority of the time, probably up until about round 11 or 12, Jacobs would win almost all the exchanges on the inside, not because he was just laying these devastating punches on Sergey Derevyanchenko all the time, but he won a lot of them just basically by being very tight with his defense and very sharp with his punches on the inside. And that made all the difference. And that's what allowed him to slowly but surely break down the body of Sergey Derevyanchenko. And a lot of times too, he was offsetting. He was offsetting what Derevyanchenko was trying to do on the inside. And what's crazy is one disappointment I will say from the Derevyanchenko side of things is it seems like as the fight wore on, because even when Daniel Jacobs' defense was tight on the inside, there were times when Sergey Derevyanchenko would step in with a jab, maybe double up on the jab, or try to turn him, but he wouldn't throw a left hook. He just wouldn't throw a left hook from round 7 to 11. He would not throw his left hook, and it kind of pissed me off because he was doing such good work and he ruined it. He ruined how good it could have been by not throwing his left hook, and I don't know. It wasn't until like latter part of the 11th, going into the 12th, that he started throwing his left hook, and that's when he began to really start applying some real serious pressure on Daniel Jacobs. And it is what it is, man. Jacobs, one thing about Jacobs, he's a fighter that's been tested. He's been there with Jacobs. He's been there with Triple G. He's been in there with now Derevyanchenko. He's been in there with the likes of Peter Quillen. More. He's got some names, some decent names. Caleb Truax. He's like many fighters. A lot of fighters can tend to be lackadaisical and lose power and whatnot. And Jacobs had his moments when that happened. But in this fight with Sergey, he turned it on and he showed that he had enough ring experience and he had enough craft to not just weather the storm that Sergey Derevyanchenko brought forth to him, but also to land the kind of shots on Derevyanchenko to make him respect his power enough to not commit to the shots that he probably wanted to commit to, such as the left hook. So it just goes to show you, man, Jacob, you don't have to be the most devastating fighter in the world, but you gotta have craft. You gotta know where to be. You gotta have the fundamentals of boxing. You gotta have tight defense on the inside. And Jacobs has these things. He's a very balanced fighter, and I still think he's a problem for anybody in the middleweight division. And I would love to see him fight Jermall Charlo, because I think he would give him a great test due to his ring experience, due to his craft, due to his just his ability to stay tight on the inside, throw tight shots on the inside, counter, fight in the southpaw stance. He is a world-class fighter. I have no problem saying that Daniel Jacobs is a world-class fighter. And it was a very, very good performance from Jacobs. I thought he won the fight. I didn't score it, but I thought he won the fight. I thought for the majority of the rounds he was doing the better work. He was dictating it in the manner in which the fight was fought, and he offset everything Derevyanchenko was trying to do. And Derevyanchenko wasn't able to fight in a different way that could lend him more success. So it's overall complete performance by Jacobs. He picked up the IBF title. I don't know what the future holds for Jacobs. Let's see. Let's go to the boxing rankings. Let's see. Boxing middleweight rankings. I don't know what the future holds for him, but let's see. Who are some maybe mandatories he might have to fight? Um, Here we go. Give me 1 second, guys. Just bear with me for a couple of seconds. So, so in the IBF rankings right now, as I'm looking at the IBF rankings on BoxingScene.com right now. Interesting. So the top 5 goes as stated. You know, you have Jack Kulke, Martin Murray, Derevyanchenko, Camille, whatever his name is, David Lemieux, Ryota Murata, guys like that. You know, Rob Brandt's 10. Golovkin's actually 11, so maybe Jacobs might want to give Golovkin an opportunity because I believe he said he would. You know, but I could definitely see Jacobs go on the David Lemieux route. You know, David Lemieux's a fighter that just picked up a really solid win over Gary O'Sullivan on the Canelo undercard with Triple G. So, you know, proven name, former world champion. You know, the IBF belt is actually David Lemieux's old belt, so I'm sure he definitely have a lot of interest in getting that belt back. And with his not boxer, because he's not a boxer, with his thunderous punching style, you know, it'd be the quintessential, you know, boxer versus puncher matchup. So I can see him going that route. Rob Brandt would be a good fight. I still have to watch that fight, so expect a video on that fight because that fight where he upset Murata was really good. You can go that route. You know, there's definitely some options for Jacobs, but ultimately the fight we all want to see is him versus Jermall Charlo. And that remains to be seen. That remains to be seen if it will happen. But overall, I'll say just fantastic fight for Daniel Jacobs. As for Derevyanchenko, you know, he has nothing to be ashamed of. I'm sure in his mind he might think he won this fight because, I mean, he definitely did a lot of good work in this fight. But he wasn't able to sustain what he was doing in round 5 and round 2. There weren't enough round 2s and round 5s in this fight. So all he needs to do is just go back to the drawing board, look at what he did wrong, and just correct his mistakes, man, because he's still a quality fighter. I think this is a guy that will definitely be a top-level contender for years to come. And he has nothing to be ashamed of, straight up. So just good performance by Daniel Jacobs. Good ring craft, good just technical fighting from him, and with a bit of, you know, that extra oomph and that toughness that you need in these big championship fights. And I still think he's a force to be reckoned with in the middleweight division. And, you know, I'd like to see maybe him and Demetrius Andrade unify on the zone. You know, that's an in-house fight. You know, 2 top American middleweights. That could be a big fight for the zone platform. So why not go that route? There's options for Daniel Jacobs, but that's just my take on the fight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Daniel Jacobs, Sergey Derevyanchenko, what did you make of it? Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Like I say in every single video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.